Live?
Okay. I think so. You may want to.
One sec. I'm just gonna confirm. Oh, it showed up. It showed up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Okay. I'm gonna go now. Enjoy your lunch.
Yeah.
Do you have your bottle? Do you have everything?
Yeah, I'm all good. Just wait for people to. Hello. This is. Hopefully the sound's okay because I've not really done this before. So, well, I guess I've done the live streams before, but it's been a while, and I've got a mic on, so I'm hoping it will actually sound okay. That's kind of the goal with this, I guess. Maybe wait for a couple of people to join, and then we can get straight into it. The room I'm in has literally one lamp, and it's the darkest thing ever. So I've got head torches on pointed at me, so it looks a bit brighter. So if it looks a bit funny, that's why. Sound is good. Awesome. Should have the chat down on my side. So okay. Trying to think. I don't know how long to wait before we start this, but I can start rambling, and then I guess you guys can chuck questions in as you want, and I'll try and go through all of them, hopefully, or at least most of them, especially if there's like repeated questions. I'll try and do those the most, but it might be quite hard because I have to like read and answer at the same time. Okay, so straight off, what made you choose silence over BIG? Is a really good question. So silence is one of the 3 90s in the world. You've got silence, BIG, which are both at this crag, and then one other DNA in France. And I'll be honest, although my YouTube still says professional sport climber, I think we can all probably agree that it's definitely professional boulderer now. And the thought of project or BIG or DNA, which are both mega endurance routes, that was a bit intimidating. And also silence being the first 9C and very bouldery, but also looking super weird and very interesting climbing. I just was like super inspired to just come and try it and see just what it's all about and how hard it is. So for me, it was like quite like a easy choice to make, I guess. Right, I'm just gonna. Okay, yeah. So we've got one question, V18 inbound, which I guess isn't so much about silence. I think we'll see V18 pretty soon. I've been trying a project for the last 2 years in the UK, which I think is the next level, but I'll be honest, I don't feel close to it really at all. I've made good progress, but linking just feels a long way away. So for myself, I think it's got a while to go before I break through to that barrier. How have conditions and weather been? This is my first trip to Flatanger, so it's all new for me. So I didn't really know what to expect. Came relatively late in the season, I think. So we came for all of September. So I'm leaving tomorrow. And I was expecting cold, wind, rain. And the first 2 weeks was like 24 degrees, just sunshine, basically zero wind, and was horrendous for climbing. It was really, really difficult, very slippy and sweaty. Then we had 1 week, which was amazing. The wind came, the rain came, and the conditions in the cave were really good. And then these last couple of days, it's like heated up again, which hasn't been the best, but it's been pretty good. So yeah, it's been good mix. I've been able to experience good conditions, even if it was only for like a session and a half. But the difference it made was huge. So it's very positive knowing how much easier the moves can feel, and a lot of the difficult or a lot of my struggling, I think, was also on conditions too. So I'm very looking forward to coming back, hopefully in like a longer period of good weather. Okay. Okay, so the best sport climb that I've done in Norway, apart from like trying on silence, I've done not so many. I've done about, I don't know, 10, 13 or so. And to be honest, they've pretty much all been incredible. I did one 6B plus that was genuinely one of the best routes I think I've ever climbed. massive, like 40-meter big, traversing through these crazy features. There was this one like fridge, which essentially you were like hands on jugs on either side of this giant flake. How it's on the wall even is incredible. So I think that's probably my favorite. I can't remember the name of it though. Do I think silence could be 9C plus? The grades are definitely something I will need to talk about a lot. I've tried quite a lot of 9B pluses, and I've done 1.5, shall we say, with my first ascent that got downgraded years ago, and then climbing Excalibur this year. And I've tried both of Adam's in the Czech Republic. I've been on Perfectamundo. I had one try a couple of years ago, and I think that's it. Maybe I've been on another, I can't remember. But compared to all the 9B pluses, silence is a very obvious and clear step above. There's like the comparison, it's not like, oh, maybe it was similar. It's like, no, this is the level above. Whether or not it would then where 9C and then 9C plus is, I think is where we've kind of struggled in bouldering with where 9A or V17 and then potentially V18 or V16, and it's all a bit muddled because when you're just getting to the next grade, I think it's really hard to actually know if it's soft in the grade, hard in the grade, if this is solid, if this is what 9C should be. To me, I'd say silence feels like what 9C should be. It's like a clear step above the others, feels ridiculously hard, but it's still achievable. Whereas I feel like a 9C plus might still just be like, I don't know, looking at something just completely in the distance that's just, yeah, not even, I don't know, not even something that I think could be like a lifetime project maybe in a way. So I'm pretty confident 9C feels right, although my experience in the 9C grade range is obviously very limited. If you could only boulder or sport climb for the rest of your career, what would you do? That's a good question because I still think sport is in a way more rewarding, and like when you do a massive project and you've managed to get all the moves together, it does feel awesome. But I don't know, bouldering's really good and I've really enjoyed bouldering. So I might have, I really don't want to say it, but maybe bouldering. Um, do you agree with the grade breakdown? Okay, so this is a really interesting one. The way the route kind of breaks down, it's about, you do about an 8B slash 8B plus sport route for the first, I don't know, 15 meters or so. Then you get to like a really good no hands knee bar where you do a rope change. So you like clip yourself in, pull the rope up. You're still on the wall. You just have like a backup sling, I guess, in case you were to fall out of it. But it's like genuinely, you can chill there 10, 20 minutes. Change the rope. Then you have, I don't know, it probably brings it up to 8B plus, a section which isn't so bad, to another no hands knee bar. This one is an upside down one, so it's not as relaxed. It's a little more on you. And then it's meant to be about a V7 boulder, which gets you to, again, another no hands knee bar, but a bad one just before the crux, so where crux 1 starts. This I'm not sure. I found better beta. I don't think it's V7. I think it's maybe more like V5, and it involves a fist jam, which is awesome. However, I just don't know if it's worth going to that extra knee bar, or if it's worth just using the fist and basically committing straight into the sequence. That would be something I need to work out when I'm able to do the bigger links. But yeah, I think the grades up to there are probably what Adam and Stefano have said. The crux 1 is supposed to be 8C boulder. That's what Adam said. And I came here being like, it will be 8C. It's in a very weird style. There's sort of lots of jams involved. There's foot jams. It's turning upside down. Sort of not really small holds. It's slopey. So I'm like, it's not my style of climbing. So I know I was going to really struggle with it. However, how much, I guess, harder it, like, I don't know if it's harder than what I expected. I expected it to be really hard, but at the same time, the amount of work I've now put in, and it feels really, really good. And I feel like it link, like next trip could be a link, but for 8C just doesn't seem right. Honestly, at least compared to where modern boulder grades are, I think it's probably more like an 8C plus boulder. I think it's really hard. The route essentially comes down to that. From then on, like, because if you stick the first crux, you're realistically going to top the route, even though the top of the route by itself, so from the end of crux 1, is probably around 9A. I think Adam broke it down as, so end of crux 1, you get, again, no hands upside down knee bar, still a little on your core, and then you go into an 8B boulder to a bad rest, into a 7C plus boulder to an amazing rest, like full recovery borderline, to finishes on like a 6B boulder. I think the 8B boulder, I would maybe say is more 8A plus. I think I agree more with Stefano on that. I agree with the grades of all the other bits though. So the 7C plus and the 6B boulder. Today, last session, I managed to again do the top half of the first crux. And so essentially starting from as soon as the foot jams in like above your head, you like jam your foot going from there. So you have like arguably the two hardest or at least most difficult to do moves of the crux, and you climb the top part. I only had one knee pad on because I wasn't really expecting to get through. So I had a very short, bad rest after the first crux, went through the second crux, made it up into the third crux of MC plus, and then pumped out and fell off, which you definitely don't want to do in the link, but it made it feel quite achievable. So yeah, that was super positive today. And I think it makes me a lot more confident on the grades, but yeah, I do think the first crux is pushing it for 8C. Where are we? 1 second. Oh, there's so many questions. Thank you so much for this, but I'm definitely I need to like have a better system for reading this. Okay, what makes a Badger Cove the greatest crag in the UK? I'll try and stick mostly to silence questions. I don't think Badger Cove is the greatest crag in the UK. I just think it's a very steep, big limestone sort of venue for bouldering, so it just lends itself to giving lots and lots of hard boulders, which is absolutely awesome, and I love it. It's definitely not the best crag in the UK, though. Oh, side projects in the cave. That's a good one. I feel like everyone that comes here and works on the hard routes like Stefano have side projects each trip that they work on. I haven't done that this time. I came pretty much purely to see if it was worth coming back for this route. I wanted to come and see just, is it out of reach or is it like possible, and it's something I want to dedicate years to. So I wanted to focus the entire trip onto silence. Also, with how bad the conditions have been, with it being super hot at the beginning of the trip, and the fact the route, like, I don't know, for me, my skin goes, especially like on the granite here is sharp. So in the hot conditions and stuff, I didn't really feel like I had the energy or the skin to try side projects. I did, so basically the hardest other routes, I managed, I think I did like an 8A plus and everything else was easier from that. There were a couple routes. The other thing is some of the routes I really want to try, like Kangaroo Limb, which is one Stefano did, I think, last year, which is a 9A plus and pretty short and bouldery. Looks perfect for me, very crimpy, quite a different style, more into what I'm in. But they all like share starts, all these routes of lines that I think, oh, really, I should give that line a flash go. So Kangaroo Limb shares the same start, sorry, as Odin's Eye, which is a super classic route here. And I'm like, I don't think I will flash it, but I really should give it a proper flash go. I really want to. And then that makes me nervous because I'm like, oh, conditions aren't good. Maybe I should wait for the next time. So yeah, I've not really been on any side projects this trip. And then, okay, we've got my girlfriend asking who's the best biliary I've had this trip, which obviously has to be her. So yeah, good one. So I used to do competition climbing. This is a bit of a sidestep, so I'll go very quickly on this. When I was younger, I competed in World Cups and the youth comps, but yeah, I pretty much just outdoor climber now and very excited in the outdoors. Definitely not going back to comps, although I am competing in the Rockmaster competition in Arco in October, so very excited for that. Okay, so what is a rock type like on silence? What's the friction and grip like? So the rock is granite and it's in general very grippy. However, on silence, basically the whole climb's very sharp, very grippy. Then you get to the crux, and the crux is completely different because it basically is mostly about that crack line. Every hold in the crack the cracks formed, I guess, from like water dripping through for, I don't know, thousands of years. So everything feels quite water polished and smooth. And so the first couple holes you come into the crux, which aren't in the crack, are all really grippy and quite nice. And then you do that first big dead point into the crack, which is probably the hardest individual move on the climb. And you get this weird sort of slot pinch. Your pinky vaguely jams in the bottom, and then it's like you get this weird squeeze. And it should be quite a good hold. If it had the same friction as everything else in the cave, I think it would make a huge difference. But it's like completely smooth, and it makes it really hard to actually like. I don't know if it has been a lot. The conditions have made it feel bad, but it's a really, really bad hold. To be honest, other than that, every other hold you use in the crack, you're in like a full jam. So there's like a mono lock. There's then like a free finger twist, and then you get like a sort of almost a paddle hand. Like these four fingers go in and sort of jam. And because they're jams, they're really good. But the pinch where you're like actually like still squeezing is a really bad hold. Okay, how do you celebrate your sends? It depends on the send. I think like in Finland, for instance, after doing Burden of Dreams, I went for like I think we cooked like a nice meal, had some champagne, and then went for a like very cold dip in the sort of frozen sea, which was amazing. But it just depends. Do you think? Sorry, I'm just looking because I think I'm going to filter through so that we stay mostly on silence questions, if that's okay with everyone. Um, so yeah, Flatanger and good weather in the same sentence. I know everyone that comes here, it's always all the posts. Oh, the weather's been terrible. And to be honest, the weather hasn't been the best conditions, but it's been incredible. For the first trip here, the first 2 weeks, although it was really, really hot, we got to do tons of swimming and just experience the place, which has been incredible. Um, Josh Ibertson's out here and took us out on a little boat as well at one point, which was something I've never really done. So that was an awesome experience too. Um, I've never climbed in Red River Gorge. I've only outdoors. I've only ever climbed in Red Rocks in the US. Obviously, huge place. Tons I want to come back for, and tons I want to go to, but hard to find the time, I guess. Um, well, no, the list is refreshed. So hang on. Yeah, I'm just laughing at some of these questions. Have you ever downgraded a route to stir the pot? I think I always try and be as honest as I can with grades because I feel like because they're all opinions and you only get the full grade once you've got like a host of opinions, you have to be as honest. Maybe at some point I did, especially when I was younger, but I think now I'm definitely as honest as I can. I've never downgraded to stir the pot. To be honest, I feel like I upgrade more than I downgrade nowadays. I did 1 7A in the cave. Actually, that's not even the most ridiculous thing. There was a 6A plus I tried on the slab on the left of the cave this trip, and I'm not joking when I say I was crimping harder on that than I was in silence. Like ridiculous. I actually just took the draws straight out. Like I was putting them in for my girlfriend, and I just thought no, it's just I just moved them to the 6A to the side. Ridiculous. When is the A2 board being reset, which is the wall in Edinburgh? Hopefully January, I think, is the plan. Reset it then. Um, yeah, not just on the parmesan, and also oatcakes for my diet. Can't get oatcakes out here, but still been eating a lot of parmesan. Do you think 10A is going to happen? That's, I mean, for sure, I think at some point it will, but right, I think it's a long way away. I mean, climbers like Adam Ondra are just on another level, and I think have been for a very long time. And the amount of work that and dedication he put into silence, and it's 2 grades away from 10A. I think we're like with the bouldering and the V18s. I think there's still a lot of time that is probably needed to fully develop the grades and understand where the level is and where it can go. At some point, I'm sure we will, but I think it could be a while. What's your sport climb? Wow, there's a lot of questions, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to filter through quite quickly, and a lot of them are not so much focused on silence, but I'll go for a couple of them. Um, what's your sport climb of all time in the UK? Is a good question, and I'm honestly not that sure. Um, I've done quite a few that are really good. Um, I think probably would have to be one at Malham because Malham Cove is just this incredible crag, and the maybe Rose Coronary or something like there. It's the routes are really good. The place is awesome, so maybe something like that. Okay, what have been your highlights besides the climbing? Seen any moose? Yeah, so we did see moose one time. I was expecting to see more of them. That was really cool. Other highlight was seeing the Northern Lights. This place is just absolutely mind blowing, and it's kind of been like a life goal of mine to properly see the Northern Lights. So that was really cool. Um, but yeah, between that and the boat and stuff, I think it's been really good. And the climbing though is just incredible. So this is a good question. Am I going to try the route with Stefano? Um, so obviously he has been coming here for a couple of years, put a couple of years work into it, has done incredibly well. I'm sure a lot of you guys like me. I mean, this trip I watched all his videos again on repeat about 20 times. He's, I reckon, pretty close. He's managed to link almost the full crux of silence. So doing it from the undercut block, which is kind of what's considered the crux, although in a way you probably to do the full thing would do it from one of the no handy bars before. So because the transition moves in aren't hard, but they do add a little. Um, I did have a sort of video call with him during this trip where I was just asking for beta and we're going over little details of holds, and he was super helpful. Big thanks to him, gave me lots of really good insight and info, and seemed pretty keen. He didn't obviously come back this winter, um, but hopefully maybe early next year. I think I'm definitely going to be coming back for this route. I think it's gone well enough, and he's obviously very psyched. So yeah, hopefully we'll be coming back. I was having a bit of a laugh because he's been for kind of the whole summer basically bouldering the whole time, and I was saying we've kind of swapped over. It's a bit weird. I'm on the rope and he's been out bouldering. But yeah, I think we'll hopefully get a trip together out here. I think that'd be really cool, and maybe persuade some other people to come try it too. Because trying it by myself has been very difficult because the I fall off a lot. And in general, with climbs, I try things that I like in my style, things I know, like I kind of understand what's going on. With this, I fall off and I don't understand why I've fallen off. And then I can't understand why one go was better than the last go. I have a really good go and I'm like, oh, I think I've figured out the toe jam. And then I'll pull on again and it doesn't work anymore. And I feel like my technical skill in the styles maybe just not high enough for me to like understand fully what's going on. So I think trying it with other people would make a huge difference, especially someone like Stefano who definitely has understood the climb now and has put a lot of time in. So my session today, for instance, I gave a really good link on the first part of the crux, and I was mostly just trying to get on film the second half of the crux, which I did the full second half 2 sessions ago, but I didn't film it. And I was like, oh, I really want to get it on film so I can actually see what happened. And yeah, spent all the last session not able to repeat it, and then today, all the first goes, it just wasn't, the foot just wasn't working, and I was like, oh, actually getting quite frustrated to be honest. And then just I don't know, just had one go and the foot just worked perfectly. And I was just like, it's like a different moves almost, and climbed completely through the first crux again. And, or sorry, completely through the second half of the first crux, not the full first crux. That would be awesome. And yeah, honestly, I could not tell you what was different. And that's been very frustrating because it makes it very hard to like understand where I'm improving or if I'm improving, if that makes sense. So that's something that I definitely need to work on. How long do you warm up and how do you warm up? It varies all the time. This is going to be super unhelpful. For silence, sometimes in the cave I've come and done like a easier route, or like a 6 or a 7, and then gone on science. Or there's been some days where it's been so warm, I've kind of like done some dynamic stretching, Jumared up, pulled in to sort of like do the base moves before the first crux, and then I've just kind of go from there and just warm up on the route. So it really changes a lot. Soft shoes or stiff shoes for outdoor climbing bouldering? So I'm a big fan of stiff shoes in general for outdoor climbing. There's some uses obviously softer shoes have that are really good, but yeah, for me, stiff shoes are always way better. They're kind of the stiffer the better most of the time. And to be honest, for silence, it's I think you want pretty stiff shoes. I mean, Adam climbed the crux in very stiff shoes. I know Stefano's climbed in very stiff shoes. So I think for the jamming with the foot jams, I think the stiff shoes are definitely the way. But yeah, I brought quite a few different types of shoes out. I brought, I think, 4 different pairs, but I'm keen to bring even more next time because I feel like just need to try everything because I just don't quite understand what would actually be the best. I think I'm going to need to go do a workshop with Tom and Pete, the Wide Boys, and fully learn a bit more, I think. Did I ever think about attempting Sharma's LeBlanc project? I mean, for sure. To be honest, like every climb out there, I get super inspired by it. It's hard to have the time to try everything, and yeah, maybe at some point in the future, but I don't know when. Okay, so that's someone saying I thought Adam said the third boulder was 7B plus, and Stefano didn't find it that bad. I could have got the 7C plus completely wrong. I thought that's what Adam said. Could be wrong on that. It's not that bad by itself, but the rest before it's really not great. And yeah, I don't know. For me, I found it really weird and hard. It's with 2 knee pads on is not so bad, but because I've kind of take the knee pads off when I'm just trying the crux because you don't need them, then going on links after it definitely is. I find it quite challenging. It's for me, it would be very possible to fall up there, I think. Unrelated question: if you could do uni or college again, what would you do differently? I'm going to start soon. I, I don't know. I wouldn't choose the course I chose and bailed off. Probably I wouldn't. That was civil engineering. If anyone's interested, I was meant to be doing a course for, and I bailed pretty much straight away. I think I would go back into something more like not necessarily university, but something like gemology. I think Dave Graham's got me too into the crystals. Will you be silent when you send silence? I honestly don't think I will be. I mean, currently just trying individual moves, I haven't been making a huge amount of noise, but for sure, if I'm going through the full thing, I'm sure there'll be a lot of power screaming. What's the best UK crag? Again, it kind of depends what you're going for, if it's boulder or sport. I think for bouldering, St. Bees in the Lake District, I went for the first time this year. Absolutely incredible. I highly recommend it if you haven't been. Yeah, how long would you be willing to dedicate to silence? So this is a good one. This trip was basically a month long, and I wanted the goal was basically dedicate the trip, decide if silence is worth it. I'm pretty confident saying now silence is worth it. I think it's possible for me. I'm definitely keen to dedicate more time. I think I will dedicate 1 more year where I'll hopefully, if I can make everything work, try and get a trip out maybe in spring and then maybe in sort of autumn again. Put decent amount of work in, see if there's progression, train for it when I go, like when I'm back home after this. And if there's progression coming, then I'll keep focusing. If I think it sort of stagnates and I just don't feel like actually I'll ever be able to link the first crux now, because I think the route basically all revolves around that. If you can link the first crux, the route's possible. And I think it's not that far away from the moment you can link the first crux because of all the knee bar rests. But if it feels like that still just isn't really happening, then maybe I'll bail off. It's very hard to say at the moment, but definitely another trip at least. Will I try Pete Whitaker's beta on Crux 1? So Pete beta, basically where he starts, it isn't that bad. So his beta, you need a bit more crack skills than I have, but from the position he starts, I do like a very similar to Stefano's beta, where you kind of go out to the right, or left, I guess, for me climbing it, and it's honestly from that position starting there is not so bad. I've been doing that kind of as the sort of warm ups as I get ready to try the full second half of the Crux link. The main moves are the first like move into the crack from the first half is really hard, and then it's like hard to get the foot up, super hard to just slap into a sloper and get into this weird mono like jam. If you get that mono jam, you should climb through the rest of the crux. So I didn't really try Pete's beta at all, because Stefano's works, or like my version of Stefano's works for the end, and yeah, that part's not so bad, at least. What's the next 9A boulder I'll try and project? That's a really good question. I mean, I've got a lot of projects in the UK that I'm quite psyched on. Definitely like quite a few in Scotland to get me really excited. Of established climbs, the one that stands out the most to me and gets me really, really excited to try is Mount Doom. Nikolai Uznek's one in Austria. That looks like an absolutely incredible and desperately hard boulder, so I'd love to go and try that. Again, between wanting to come back here and stuff and also wanting to try and finish Terra Nova, I don't know if I'll have the time or not, but we'll see. Hopefully I'll try that one. Out of the top end stuff in the cave, does silence suit you best? Out of the 9Cs, maybe. Out of the top end, the rest of the routes, I definitely don't think so. But then again, I'm not sure who silence really suits. Maybe Adam is honestly the person that suits the most. It's such a weird style. But again, that's because I'm condensing the whole route into Crux 1. If you take out Crux 1, the rest of it, yeah, it probably suits me relatively well. But yeah, it all comes down to Crux 1. The good thing, though, is if it feels more achievable and I've maybe done the Crux and I want to start doing links so I can build the endurance, you can essentially skip Crux 1 and you do like you basically climb just around and then back in, and you link at the knee bar rest at the end of Crux 1. And it's a route called Move Hard, which gets 9B. So there's like other routes that I can do as training for it, which I think will help a lot. But I'm sure a route like Move might suit me a lot better. Whoa, so many questions. Thanks for this. Thanks for all the enthusiasm, guys. This is awesome. I am definitely going to have to... Okay, I'm going to have to go way faster. I've definitely thought about going over to Australia before. It looks incredible. I'm definitely scared of spiders, though. And I know everyone says it's not bad, but it definitely scares me. What 9C would you suggest for Yanya to do? Having only tried one of them, it's really hard to say. But I'd love for her to come and work on silence with me and Stefano. I think that'd be awesome. It'd be really cool to see. I think it'd be like a lot of fun. Very different, maybe, to the sort of gym style. Did you train in the famous barn? No, I didn't. As I was saying at the sort of start live stream, depending when you've joined, skin has been definitely an issue, and the route just is so tiring that I haven't felt like I've really been needing to train or had the energy to train. So not being in the barn, actually, which feels a bit odd. I definitely felt like I should have gone and seen it at least, but yeah, it's been a really good trip just climbing on the route. So I've had a great time, and I've got so many of the sort of easier routes around as well that it's just like today after the session did this multi pitch 4-pitch sport line, which is supposed to be only 6A, but honestly was quite hard. But yeah, so I've just been trying other things like that at the moment. What specific skills does silence require? To send the full route, it would take a lot of skills. Focusing just on the crux, because I think that's kind of the main part of it. You you do need some crimp strength, not a lot though. But you need to really be able to jam well if you're in sort of every position. So you need really good foot jams. You need to be able to do like ring locks. You need to be able to do weird finger locks where you have like multiple sort of squeezed in a crack and you twist at the same time. You need to be able to do sort of like paddle hand jams. So there's a lot of sort of unique crack skills, and there's a lot of sort of standard boulder skills in a way. The beginning is very much a compression climb, very core tensiony, a lot going through your feet. You're still trying to do weird sort of jams in this sloping pocket, and it's like full on just squeezing. There's a lot of different skills. It honestly is one of the like most unique bits of rock I've ever tried, with the amount of technique and different moves that are going on. It is awesome. Any hot takes on some of the more famous harder boulders do you think should be downgraded to lower grades? Well, I mean, I don't know how long my phone has battery to do this live stream, to be honest. If we were going to start talking about grades, I was actually thinking of doing either a live stream or a video where we maybe go into all the sort of hard boulders I've done or tried and talk about my experiences on them and sort of where I think they sit in the grade spectrum, because I feel like that could be quite interesting. Definitely something that I think a lot about. I think I'll skip that for this video just because we'd be here for a while. But yeah, I think the top end grade of bouldering is between the 8C plus and the 9A. There's something I don't think it's quite right, and I do think there has to be some shifting around. I'll just leave it at that, I guess, for now. What is your next big project? I mean, realistically, silence. With going to Arco for the Rockmaster in October, there's a project I think Adam bolted, which he was telling me about, which I'm really keen to go check out, which should be more my style, shorter, more just like savage crimping. So I'm really keen to check that out, and maybe I'll have another Arco project. But considering how unlucky I get with the weather there, I'm not sure how motivated I am for that. Not tried any any gyms or crags around here at all. Basically only been in the cave and one of the bouldering spots. It's just around the corner, like 10 minutes around the corner, which is super cool and has like this. I felt when I saw this boulder, it made me feel silly, because in general I've always kind of been, you know, on boards there's always like big wide pinches or narrow pinches, and I've always thought they're a bit silly because you come outdoors and they don't exist. There aren't pinches. And they did this boulder called Brick Squad. It's an 8A plus, and I'll post the video soon, but it's literally the most like board style brick pinch boulder. There's one that's like this big beefy one, and I was like, I can't believe I've kind of been hating on that for so long, and it exists. It's right here. But yeah, that place is incredible. But yeah, literally only in the cave and a couple of very short sessions of that boulder spot. I don't understand that question. Do you feel like your risk of injury is super high when you're trying silence? This is a really good question. Do I feel like I was at a high risk of injury trying silence? Yes. So to begin with, because I didn't understand the toe jam at all, and I felt like I could slip out at any moment, the ring lock that you do with the right hand, where you go sideways into this crack and you then twist it to jam it, it's bobber. It's not going anywhere, or at least that's how it felt. And I was so worried that my foot would just slip and I'll like essentially leave the, not like leave the finger, but like, I don't know, like it would like come out pretty horribly, either pull a flapper or like rupture something. That was a big concern of mine. Turns out that's not the case. When the foot comes out, this also comes out and it's fine. Other than that, I'm getting a lot of like big sort of like flappers from different jams. I've not felt particularly like it's that injury. It did flare up a little niggle I've had in my left index finger on the pinch, just because you're squeezing so hard. But the holds are all relatively friendly, so it's more just your body gets sore. But yeah, doesn't feel that injury inducing. Although the rest before the third crux, the potential 7B plus, 7C plus. I'm not sure which one it is, but that rest is very, very tweaky on the right knee. So it's one of those things on links. It makes it really hard to commit to properly resting. Whereas when you're actually going for the full send, you would milk it as much as you want, but it does feel like you could tweak your knee on that. I've actually, okay, I've not talked to Pete about the crack yet. I definitely should have done, I reckon, and I definitely will do. But because I was mostly just wanting this trip to be the exploratory trip, I didn't mind so much not chatting to him and just trying to figure out as much as I could now. And then hopefully I've understood the crack enough that when he explains the techniques and stuff, I'll actually be able to grasp it. Whereas I was worried if I spoke to him too early, I might just not understand how to actually use his advice, if that makes sense. Okay, so is my silence crux beta like Adam's, Stefano, or is it like my own? So it's, I'd say, the most similar to Stefano's, but I have done a few little tweaks. So the first half of the crux, you like start big undercut block, come to this bad sloping pocket, and then I do what Adam does, where you skip the first intermediate that Stefano uses, you go straight to this good edge, then flip this to a side, and then instead of doing both Adam and Stefano go like bump and then bump into the crack, I haven't been doing that bump. I don't know if I'll swap back to that in the future. I've just been going direct to the crack. Reason being, because it's been so hot trying to do links, you just get so sweaty. So the more holds you add, the harder it gets. So actually skipping that move definitely felt better. In the future, with better conditions, maybe I'll end up using that, but it felt similar difficulty, I think. So the direct was quite nice. From there, you do the spin around. Adam goes left foot into the crack. I'm going right foot, same as Stefano. And then same sort of middle moves are the same we all do. But then once I come through, I do the same as, or similar to Stefano, where I go out to the right, left. It depends how you look at it. And use those sort of other holds. And I've got a slightly different sequence to Stefano, but it's very similar. Whereas, yeah, Adam, because he has the left foot, then he's able to do that crazy twist around, which is just, to be honest, I would have liked to try, but I couldn't make the left foot jam well enough to even begin to try it. So yeah, that's on another world, that I think. Have I done all the moves in silence? Yes, I managed all the moves relatively early on into the trip, I guess, maybe 2 weeks in or so. I linked from the end of the first crux to the top. I did that twice in the first week or second week. And I've gone from the ground up to the rope change, which isn't so bad. From there to the base of the crux as like a link is not so bad. And the crux is in two halves. The only thing that stops it being overlapping halves is basically I've done the move into the crack, and then I've just not quite, I've been about half a meter or so away from getting my foot into the jam, and then I've started with the foot in the jam and gone through the rest of the crux. So yeah, it's been like way more progress than I expected. And it's like the fact the crux is almost in overlapping halves is incredible, and I'm very happy with that. Is silence fun to project, or is it frustrating? That is yeah, that's a difficult one. To be honest, it's a mix of both. I have had an absolutely incredible time trying it, but it has got very frustrating on sessions. So the session today, I was really struggling up until literally the last go, where the foot just jammed and I just went through the link again of the second part of the crux. I was getting like really frustrated that it's essentially 2 sessions in a row where I just couldn't make the foot work. Whereas the session before, I'd managed to do that link and it felt not so bad. So it's definitely frustrating, but I think the frustration is the fact that I don't understand why I'm falling off, rather than the routes being frustrating. But it's a really good route, and I have been enjoying trying it. Do you drink alcohol or only for special occasions, like you mentioned? Pretty much only for special occasions. Yeah, I've had one of the nights here, I guess I had like a glass of wine, but in general, very very little alcohol. I think even just like having a small bit affects how well rested I feel and stuff. So I tend not to have much, or like tend not to have any very often. Do you need to train your endurance extra for such a long route? Um, I'm not at the point of linking it yet, so I definitely can't comment. But yeah, my endurance would definitely need a lot of training to actually link the full route. Although I don't think as much in like the forearms as I was expecting. I think the majority would be like more in the core and the legs, because there's so many really good no hand knee bar rests, and you have to be able to just recover in them. And at the moment, I feel like when I'm in them, my core is starting to get tired. My legs maybe aren't as fresh. So I think I need to do training on that, which is something I've definitely ignored in the past, especially for bouldering. You do use knee bars, but it's not the sort of prolonged use. They're very much you put it in, you do the move, and then you continue. So yeah, I've got a lot of training to do in that side, and I would have to do standard sort of circuit endurance training. But I think that's still quite a while away at the moment. It's a good question. Do I think it's harder to grade the crux because you're trying it off like quick draws? It's not just a boulder on the ground. Whereas obviously a boulder on the ground, you can just, it's very easy to get like pushed into a move or a bit of weight taken off or something like with a power spot. And silence is very difficult to work the first crux. Like it's taken a long time to even understand how to pull on to some of the moves. And there's some that you just can't pull onto. Admittedly, only maybe one now. I think I've worked out the rest. And two of the sort of two bolts in the crux, because they're on the right of the crack, they get very in the way of the rope. Where if you're on lead and you're on like a link, you wouldn't have those clipped and it would be fine. But currently, the first move of the second half of the first crux is this big slap into the slopers coming from this faraway pocket, and the rope essentially is right here. So the rope goes directly under your arm, which firstly kind of like gives you a bit of rope burn if you fall off there, but also it feels like you almost take yourself a little tight. So it's really hard to know if you're doing the move 100% or if you've like taken 5% of the weight out, which up until you feel like up until the goes where I've been really confident on the move, every time I've done it, I've been like, did I really do that move? So yeah, it's definitely a lot harder to work because it's on a rope, I guess, which will affect the grading, because I guess it just takes longer to do than it would be as a boulder. That still being said, I still think for 8C is very mean. Did I create some special warm up for silence? Do I have some routine of training before going to the cave? Not at the moment. That's something I definitely will need to do, especially if I'm ever trying to give like proper link goes or trying to go for red points. However, for this trip, because I was just working the boulder, warm up was very, very standard. I think I spoke about earlier, either trying other routes in the cave or just kind of getting on and playing a bit on the moves, or like even a little bit of fingerboarding at the base. In the future, though, I think I definitely need to have like a solid routine. Yeah, I guess had this on a few times now, but I'll just answer it again. I've not been to the gym that Adam built near the cave. I've just not felt like I've needed it slash had the time because of skin and energy. It's just so brutal trying the route that, yeah. And it's not been that cold that I felt like, oh, I need to come warmed up already. So yeah, just been going straight to the cave. Will you make replicas of silence? That's a really good question. Obviously, I trained a lot in the Burnout Dreams replica, and I've just finished a floating replica of the 8C Plus out in Japan with core climbing. And I think they're absolutely awesome. And I'm super psyched to train on that one because I'd really like to go back and actually send that boulder. However, and I think it would be great if I could make a replica of silence. I just don't think it's possible. I know Adam had like a vague one he trained on, and Stefano's done similar things, but it just doesn't work. It's so complex. The wall is all changing. It's like weirdly like wait, which way should I show it? Like this. The crack's so uneven and different all over. The foot jam is so specific that just having like a standard sort of volume or something just wouldn't really. You could get a bit of the feeling for the moves, and I will set like a vague replica, I'm sure, but nothing like no proper replicas, no scanning or anything. As I just think it's not possible. What are some lesser done problems / routes you could see yourself trying? Um, I mean, I suppose most of the things I've posted about. I don't know about anything else like massively on the top of my list. Obviously, as I was saying, I really want to go back to the Terra Nova. I'd love to actually finally get that done, but yeah, it's a hard one too. So we'll see. Does a boulder have a higher chance on sending science than a lead climber because the single moves on the crux are too hard? One sec, sorry, someone's just knocking.
Your hour's coming to an end.
Yeah, I'll try and answer a couple more questions really quickly, and then I think we're. This is going to sound ridiculous, but we've as we're like out here in the house as a group, and for some reason we decided to put on Twilight, the sort of the vampire movies, and I'm pretty sure I watched some of them when I was pretty young when they came out. Didn't remember them at all, and we are like, oh, they probably won't be that good, but they're really good. We're all super invested, and we're like, we've got the last one on now, so yeah, I need to go back and finish that just as it's last night. I was talking something about boulders and lead climbers on silence. Honestly, I still think it's more you still want to be a lead climber because it is a. I'm not so sure. Maybe to do individual moves would be easier as a boulder, but to link the full route would definitely be really, really hard. Like you'd need a high level of just general endurance, which is something I'm going to have to do a lot of work to get back. So I don't know, Jacob or Edward, I don't know. It's got silly for sure. You're a bit confused by that comment. Sorry. What is your strategic approach to the cruxes on silence? Are you an individual moves kind of guy, or do you low point certain sections? Good question. In general, individual moves. Do each individual move and then slowly move to link them together. So 2 move sections, 3 move sections, depending how some of the moves feel. Oh, actually those ones are easy. I'll try link that full bit, and then slowly just get it to 2 halves, then overlapping halves. Try and extend the overlapping halves a bit, and then try and send the full crux. Pretty much been how I approach most things. Same with silence. So trying the second crux at the start of the trip was just trying individual moves, and then once you've done the individual moves, you're like, okay, so try 2 moves in. You're like, oh, it doesn't feel quite right. Okay, something's a bit wrong on the upper move. Even if you've done it, you're like, oh, I need to adjust something. Because only when you start linking does it actually do you fully understand them, I guess. But yeah, individual moves always for me, and then slowly add moves in, basically. Looking forward to seeing you in Berlin next week. Oh, awesome. I'm very excited to be coming over to Berlin as well. So yeah, excited to see you there too. Are you going to top out silence? Yeah, this is a funny one because the Flatanger cave is so, I know every video kind of says this, but it's so unbelievably big. When you get here, like the videos just don't do it justice. It's just so much bigger than it looks. And silence really isn't that long for one of the routes here. It stops very, very far from the lip of the cave, never mind the top of the cave. And it probably is possible to link into like Seb's route, Nordic Marathon, and continue it all the way. I definitely won't be doing that because I definitely do not have the endurance. But I suppose maybe in the future that could be the sort of, I don't know if it would even be enough though of a step to bring it up to 9C plus, just because there are so many good rests, but potentially that's something to be done, I guess. What surprised you the most from projecting silence? I think, Oh, I'm not sure what the most surprising, but honestly, maybe that I'm not. I don't know if that would be the thing. I might skip that. I don't really know what the most surprising thing is, because I feel like even though obviously the holds were surprisingly bad, I knew they were going to be surprisingly bad. Just kind of always like hope in your head that they might be a bit better. Maybe so in the second crux, the sort of crux move, you come up to this undercut, and then you do like a tack in and a big shoulder move out. The undercut in all the videos, it definitely looks more like a sort of crimp, like Adam and Stefan are kind of getting four fingers and crimping almost. For me, that was the biggest surprise, was that it's a slot and it's not how it looks in the videos, and I could only use it with three fingers, and it's like an open hand grip, it's not a crimp. That was definitely the biggest surprise. What shoe choice am I going with? Currently, I'm like mix and match, which I think Adam and Stefano did as well. So on my left foot, I've got the 510 high angle, and on the right foot, I've got the 510 craw. Um, Reason for that is because the right foot's the one that's doing the jam, but the craw's a lot narrower than the high angle, and you need like the narrower the shoe, the better, I think. So you need to like fit it, even though the crack's quite wide at the face, there's like a more narrow bit, so you need to get all the way in and to the narrow bit and then twist into that. So that's what I'm going with currently, but I'm tempted to bring out some like blancos or something that like is what Pete used when he came, just because obviously he's doing the moves with them, although I think that could be because he's a really good crack climber. So one of those things we need to, I need to come back with, I guess, more and keep trying. How much of the route is natural slash unchipped? I don't think there's any unnatural holds in Flatanger. I'm pretty sure everything's pretty much natural. Um, Maybe other than the bolts. I'm I don't think. Yeah, I think every this is the amazing thing with it being granite, is it's the whole place is seems absolutely bomber. I mean, I've not been on all the routes, but from everything I've seen, they're all completely natural. And the features are just incredible. I think it's really blown me away. Kind of a weird question, maybe, but how would the climber look that would silence, or at least the crux climb as easy as possible? Which body? Okay, which sort of body type, strengths exactly do you need to make silence look the easiest? I don't think there's an ideal shape or anything, or climber, body climber, like body strengths, because it's so diverse. The start being sort of open hand to crimps, and then like from sort of like hanging into like very engaged compression, big powerful moves, to then the weird like turn, like big reach with the toe, and then the sort of body tension and crack climbing. I'm not sure there's like an ideal climber for it. I think it's going to be hard probably for everyone. Um, could be wrong on that because I don't maybe understand the top perfectly yet. But yeah, I think it's one of those routes that maybe suits everyone because it suits nobody. Will you queue CS2 with me? I'll be honest, CS2 is not CS:GO, but so I haven't been playing tons of it. Definitely not been playing anything out here, but maybe in the future, who knows? I think there's meant to be a big update where they got rid of a lot of cheaters, so that's good. Would you say it suits your style? As I was just saying, I don't know. I think silence, a lot of it suits my style. Crux, it's definitely not a sort of thing I've tried before, but potentially. Okay, so yeah, a couple questions that have been sort of repeated, but are using the same beta on Crux 1. Um, Not the same as Adam, pretty much the same as Stefano. Couple tweaks, but yeah, I've got the videos. I'll be posting, I guess, the full second half of the Crux. I haven't posted that yet, but they'll all be up on my Instagram, and I'm gonna edit everything together and try and make a YouTube as well. So I'll try and like do voiceover and talk through and explain the differences maybe with that as well. But yeah, basically Stefano's beta with a couple tweaks. Do you think if you have time for another day of climbing that you'd risk a no stress burn from the bottom? Honestly, no. At the moment, it just doesn't even feel worth trying from the bottom because realistically, I know I'd make it to the crux and then fall off one of the first couple moves. Um, for sure, the route is basically all about crux one, and until you can link crux one, it just doesn't make sense to really try other links. Other than potentially working the top part more and more, which I very much ignore the strip, just because I think if you got through crux one, you want to make sure that you're never going to drop the top, because that would be really, really heartbreaking, even though it is really hard and probably a 9A route in itself. But you definitely have to have that wired. Bring Pete for technical input on. Yeah, that would be cool if we could. I wonder if you can do this sort of cool live streams. That would be awesome. Are there any additional core exercises or training that you regularly do besides climbing? That's a really good question, because in the past I've done core work. Definitely to like Tom Randall through Lattice. Gave me lots of. He was giving me like sort of these like I think they were like Sheffield based, maybe GB divers and their core routines. I couldn't do them. They absolutely destroyed me. I do like back in the day, I did some core work. For the last couple of years, I really haven't done anything or very little off the wall. I don't want to say nothing because I have done the occasional sessions, but very short and very small. Pretty much everything I do is on the wall. However, to come back and actually climb silence or give bigger links, I know I need to do a lot more, but I think it'll still be mostly on the wall focus. So like finding really good knee bars, whether it's just like off a bar or off of like the side of a board or something in a gym, and just hanging upside down, hanging sort of semi-engaged, doing things like that. I'm like, for me, like I'm a huge advocate of just on the wall training. So yeah, but I haven't been doing any for the last years, but this has taught me I'll definitely need to do more. If you could swap bodies with one other climber for a day, who would it be? I got to be Adam Undra. I just would be so curious to know like how climbing feels for him. That would be awesome. When are you going to another? Yeah, I don't have any plans for a US visit at the moment. To be honest, I think if I come back over, sort of top of the list would probably be Bishop. Um, I'd love to get to Yosemite as well. And there's climbs like Hypnotize Mind, sorry, in Colorado, which I've always been psyched for. So they'd probably be the sort of top three locations if I'm able to come back at some point. That's where I'd go first, I reckon. Um, are you interested in a super hard board style project in Yorkshire? I mean, always. I've definitely got a lot of projects at the moment, but I'm always keen for more, so I'd love to check that out. I have seen some comments though coming up saying it's twilight time, so I think I will have to end the live stream pretty soon. I will have a quick skim through in case there's any more just about silence. I'll answer, and then I'll head off. Any plans to try the Sisu project? No plans, but I'd absolutely love to. I'd also love to go back to Burden and just try it with the new beta, the higher drop knee that's been found, because I tried it on the replica and it felt so much better. I'd be super keen to actually go and see it. But yeah, I'd love to check out Sisu. So hopefully I can make that happen at some point in the near future. Definitely not going on Dave McLeod's McDonald's burger patty only diet to help me up silence. I don't think that would be working for me. And I don't think I'm screaming enough yet. I think that's going to be the next step. Next step in goals on silence, I guess that's a good place to leave it, is to link the first crux. So then the next step for sure is to climb the first half of the first crux and make it an overlapping half by actually getting the toe jam in. As soon as I do that, that would be like crux and two overlapping halves would be huge. I need to just get more consistent on the second part, like actually understand the foot jam. Once I've understood it, then it would be a question of just trying to link the first crux. And that's the main goal. That's like everything revolves around that. Once that's done, I would start looking at all the other goals, different links, and changing things. But yeah, everything revolves around linking that first crux. And to do that requires just getting the rest of it feeling consistent and easier, I guess. So everything would be focused on the first crux. Okay. Oh, there's so many questions. I'm really sorry I haven't managed to get through everything. Do you think? What have I done? Thanks for the live stream. I'm just having one last thing. One last quick little look. Is science the best route you've ever tried? Oh, I'm not sure if it's the absolute best, but it's definitely up there. Is Bosie an Italian name? Yes, it is. Comes from my dad's side of the family. Okay, and then I think last one, just because it follows on from something we were talking earlier, I think you can achieve a lot of off the wall core work with steep board climbing. Yeah, so that's why like a lot of my focus is on board climbing and drilling feet in, especially doing like sort of warm-ups where you keep the feet on even on moves you wouldn't want to, because yeah, it helps build core and body tension and everything's like active on the wall, which I think is the most important. Okay, I think we're good there. Hang on, just what? Oh, sorry, I feel so bad leaving because there's so many questions. Right, very last one. What's your opinion on the original beta on Burden? Nally was lower than all after him in the start. It seems to build higher and higher. Yeah, this is a really odd one. So where Nally started, like obviously I've seen comparison photos where people's arms are in different place. I'm pretty certain where I started was the same as Nally. The only difference being he has his right foot lower and then brings it up after he brings his like bum off the ground and then places it. And a lot of people have been talking, saying that's like a different start. We've been repeating it in a different way. And potentially, I think people maybe have stacked pads or rocks a bit higher, because you can see obviously from the arms does look different. The reason Nally, I think, starts with his foot low, I haven't asked him, but it made sense trying the boulder, is because the right foot, because I'm so low down to pull on and place that right foot, you can't really see, I can almost get the foot up. The foot's placed on this, it's a very specific foothold that has like a round above it, so it's hard to get into. And because your foot's like, you're placing it like this, as you come up, your foot almost then hits the top of the rock and it pushes you off. So I think Nally pulled up and then placed the foot because it meant the shoe was at the correct angle to make the foot as good as possible. Whereas like pulling on with the foot already there definitely added to, like it made the foot feel a bit worse. So I think that's the main reason that there was that difference. What's happened since, I can't really comment because I've not been there. But yeah, that I think that's the main reason. Obviously, if you're high enough up that your foot's starting at the right angle, then it would probably would be easier. But you've still got to actually pull on off those savage crimps. So, but yeah, I think that's the reason Nally started like that. I've not spoke to him though, but in my head, like, because I wondered when I was there why he was doing that rather than just starting with the foot there, because you can just reach it off the ground, like even just off the rocks without a pad. But I'm pretty certain that's the reason. Yeah, okay, right, I'm definitely being told.
Answer the question everyone's asking.
What's the question everyone's been asking?
Team Edward or Jacob?
Oh, Team Edward or Jacob. Definitely Team Edward. But it has been hilarious watching all of them walk around just topless the entire movie. It's so ridiculous. They got good climbing skills, so.
Right, say bye to everyone.
Yeah. Right, well, thanks everyone that has like joined in and watched, and thanks for all the questions. Thanks for all the psych. And yeah, hopefully this was interesting, and yeah, any feedback's appreciated, and I will try and get on with editing the actual all the climbing footage and getting a video out relatively soon. Well, have a good evening everyone, and I'll try and figure out how to turn this off.